What if I told you that thousands of years before Columbus, before the age of exploration, ancient sailors were already connecting continents, trading goods, sharing ideas, and building networks that spanned thousands of miles of open ocean? Today we're diving deep into the world's first maritime superhighways. Who were the original global connectors? Was it the mysterious Minoans sailing the Mediterranean? The fearless Austronesians crossing the Pacific? Or perhaps traders navigating the monsoons of the Indian Ocean? By the end of this video, you'll understand how our ancestors turned the world's most dangerous barriers into bridges of civilization. Let's set sail. To understand who connected the world first, we need to go back to the beginning. Around 45,000 years ago, early humans made their first sea crossings to reach Australia. But these weren't planned expeditions. They were likely short hops between visible islands. True maritime routes required three things: reliable boats, navigation skills, and economic incentives. The earliest evidence of regular sea travel dates to around 8000 BCE in the Mediterranean, where obsidian, volcanic glass, was being traded between islands. But it was around 3000 BCE when everything changed. This is when we see the first evidence of long-distance maritime networks that would reshape human civilization. Today, we'll explore 5 major ancient maritime networks, examine their evidence, and determine which culture truly connected the world first. Our first contenders are the traders of the Indus Valley and Mesopotamia, operating around 2500 BCE. This network connected 3 of humanity's earliest civilizations: the Indus Valley, Mesopotamia, and ancient Egypt. The evidence is remarkable. Indus Valley seals have been found in Mesopotamian cities like Ur. Mesopotamian texts mention Meluhha, likely the Indus Valley, as a source of precious goods. These carnelian beads, crafted in the Indus Valley, have been discovered in royal tombs in Mesopotamia. The technical skill required to drill these tiny holes suggests a highly organized trade network. But here's what made this network special. They mastered monsoon navigation. Ancient sailors learned to use seasonal wind patterns, sailing southwest with winter monsoons and returning with summer winds. This predictable cycle enabled regular, reliable trade. Archaeological evidence suggests they used sewn plank boats, sealed with bitumen from Mesopotamian oil seeps. The Persian Gulf became humanity's first maritime highway, connecting 3 river valley civilizations. This network operated for nearly 500 years, from 2500 to 2000 BCE, when the Indus Valley civilization mysteriously declined. Enter the Minoans of Crete, around 2000 BCE. These Bronze Age islanders created the Mediterranean's first maritime empire, and their influence was staggering. Look at these frescoes from Knossos. They show advanced ships with multiple rowers and distinctive crescent-shaped hulls. These weren't coastal fishing boats. These were designed for open sea travel. Minoan pottery has been found from Sicily to Cyprus, from Egypt to Anatolia. They weren't just traders. They were cultural ambassadors, spreading artistic styles, religious symbols, and technologies. But the smoking gun is the Uluburun shipwreck off Turkey, dated to 1300 BCE. This single ship carried cargo from at least 8 different cultures: copper from Cyprus, tin from Afghanistan, amber from the Baltic, ivory from Africa. The diversity is mind-blowing. Canaanite jars, Egyptian jewelry, Mesopotamian cylinder seals, and even a gold scarab bearing the name of Nefertiti. This ship was a floating United Nations of Bronze Age trade. When Minoan civilization collapsed around 1400 BCE, the Phoenicians inherited their networks and expanded them even further. From their bases in modern-day Lebanon, Phoenicians established colonies from Spain to North Africa. They founded Carthage, sailed beyond the Strait of Gibraltar, and possibly reached West Africa's Gold Coast. Their secret weapon was the birame, a 2-banked galley that could cover 100 miles per day. They were the first to use celestial navigation systematically, following stars to maintain course during multi-day voyages. But perhaps the most remarkable maritime achievement belongs to the Austronesians, starting around 3000 BCE. These island hoppers accomplished something no other ancient culture attempted. They crossed the world's largest ocean. Beginning in Taiwan, Austronesian-speaking peoples spread across 10,000 miles of ocean, reaching Madagascar in the west and Easter Island in the east. This wasn't accidental drift, it was systematic exploration and colonization. The linguistic evidence is overwhelming. Languages from Madagascar to Hawaii share common Austronesian roots. The word for water, wai, is remarkably similar across the entire Pacific. Archaeological evidence comes from lapita pottery, distinctive decorated ceramics that mark Austronesian settlements from the Bismarck Islands to Fiji, dated between 3,200 and 2,800 years ago. But their real innovation was the outrigger canoe. These vessels could handle 20-foot swells, carry entire families with supplies, and cover hundreds of miles in open ocean. Their navigation skills were legendary. They read wave patterns, followed bird flights, used star compasses, and memorized the unique light signatures of distant islands reflected in clouds. By 800 CE, they had reached Easter Island, 2,300 miles from the nearest populated land. This represents the longest ocean crossing achieved by any ancient culture. Modern Polynesian navigators have recreated these voyages, proving that ancient Austronesians possessed navigation techniques that rival GPS in accuracy. While Austronesians conquered the Pacific, another network was emerging in the Indian Ocean, one that would eventually connect 3 continents. This wasn't dominated by a single culture. Indians, Arabs, Persians, Chinese, and East Africans all participated in what became history's most diverse maritime network. Our best evidence comes from the Periplus of the Erythraean Sea, a 1st century CE merchant's handbook. It describes trade routes from Red Sea ports to India, Ceylon, and even China. The archaeological evidence is spectacular. Roman coins have been found in South Indian temples. Chinese silk appears in Egyptian tombs. African ivory decorates Indian palaces. The key was monsoon mastery. Merchants learned to sail from Arabia to India with summer monsoons, trade during the calm season, then return with winter winds. This created a predictable annual cycle. The Belitung shipwreck, discovered off Indonesia, contained Chinese ceramics, Indian textiles, and Middle Eastern glass, all aboard a single 9th century vessel. This was truly international commerce. Great port cities emerged. Muziris in India, Socotra Island as a way station, and later Malacca controlling Southeast Asian straits. These became cosmopolitan centers where cultures blended. This network didn't just move goods, it transmitted knowledge. Indian mathematics reached Baghdad, Chinese navigation techniques spread westward, and African gold financed Asian empires. Our final network operated in the world's harshest seas, the North Atlantic. Around 700 CE, Norse navigators began systematic exploration westward from Scandinavia. They reached Iceland in 870 CE, Greenland in 985 CE, and North America around 1000 CE, 500 years before Columbus. L'Anse aux Meadows in Newfoundland provides archaeological proof of their American settlements. Their longships were perfectly adapted for these conditions. Shallow draft for beach landings, flexible hulls for heavy seas, and square-rigged sails for following winds. Norse navigation relied on sun compasses and possibly calcite crystals that could locate the sun through clouds. They followed bird migrations and ocean currents across vast distances. The Icelandic sagas describe these voyages in detail, and archaeology increasingly confirms their accuracy. Recent excavations in Greenland show a sophisticated colonial society lasting 400 years. However, these northern networks remained relatively small-scale compared to our other examples. Climate change and resource depletion eventually ended Norse expansion. Each network succeeded because of specific technological innovations. Let's compare the key breakthroughs. Hull design varied dramatically. Mesopotamian reed boats, Mediterranean galleys, Austronesian outriggers, and Norse clinker-built longships. Each was perfectly adapted to local conditions. Navigation evolved from coastal landmarks to open ocean techniques. Star compasses, seasonal wind patterns, celestial observations, and even wave-reading skills. Successful networks required infrastructure, protected harbors, warehouses for seasonal storage, shipyards for maintenance, and established merchant communities. Most importantly, they needed economic systems, credit arrangements, standardized weights, currency exchange, and legal frameworks for foreign merchants. So who connected the world first? The answer depends on how we define connection. If we measure by geographic range, the Austronesians win. They covered 1/3 of the globe. For longevity, the Indian Ocean network operated for over 1,000 years. For volume of trade, the Mediterranean networks moved the most goods. But here's the key insight. These weren't isolated systems. By 1000 CE, all these networks were interconnected. Goods could travel from Scandinavia to Southeast Asia through linked maritime routes. The real first connection happened when these regional networks merged into a single global system. This occurred gradually between 800 and 1200 CE, centuries before European age of exploration. The evidence of early globalization is everywhere. Islamic astronomical instruments in Chinese observatories, Scandinavian amber in Indian temples, African gold in European treasuries. So the answer isn't a single culture, but multiple pioneers who each mastered their regional seas, gradually building the networks that Europeans would later expand into a truly global system. The legacy of these ancient networks is all around us. Modern shipping lanes often follow the same routes pioneered thousands of years ago. Genetic studies show massive population mixing along these ancient routes. The Austronesian expansion created genetic links from Madagascar to Easter Island. Indian Ocean trade mixed African, Asian, and Middle Eastern populations. Cultural fusion occurred everywhere these networks touched. Islamic architecture in Indonesia, Indian numerals in Europe, Chinese porcelain techniques in Middle Eastern ceramics. Even modern economic concepts originated in these ancient networks: credit systems, maritime insurance, international commercial law, and standardized currencies. Perhaps most importantly, these networks created the first truly international exchange of ideas. Greek philosophy reaching India, Chinese innovation spreading westward, Islamic scholarship connecting continents. The ancient world was far more connected than most people realize. Thousands of years before modern globalization, brave sailors were already building bridges across the world's most dangerous waters. Each culture contributed something unique. Mesopotamian monsoon navigation, Austronesian ocean crossing techniques, Mediterranean commercial systems, and Norse cold water adaptations. Which ancient maritime network surprised you the most? Did the Austronesian Pacific crossing blow your mind like it did mine? Or were you amazed by the diversity of that Bronze Age shipwreck? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into ancient maritime history, consider subscribing for more videos exploring the connections between ancient civilizations. Next week, we'll be investigating whether ancient cultures had contact across the Atlantic, including some surprising evidence from South America. Until then, remember, the ancient world was smaller than you think, and more connected than you know. Thanks for watching.